On today's episode of Press Play, we look at the status of our student athletes.
The new search for a men's head basketball coach and co-ed roommates. This much and more only on Press Play.
Hello and welcome to Press Play, Oklahoma City University's own news and sports magazine show. I'm Ava Crushon.
And I'm Katie Connor. We begin our show with the search for a new men's basketball coach.
The past 2 seasons have presented many challenges for the OCU men's basketball team. Sean Coleman has more on the story.
The past 2 seasons, OCU men's basketball has struggled with keeping a coach. A year ago, a coach was fired due to allegations of embezzlement. And just this past season, a new coach stepped away due to racially insensitive comments.
So we are currently looking for a men's head coach for basketball. And currently we've had over 100 applications for the job. We have conducted a handful of interviews, preliminary interviews. Now we're looking at references and hoping to come to a decision by April 1st. That way you guys as a team can get to know the coach and potentially practice and get things running for the next year.
This year was another tough year for men's basketball, playing only 9 games this season. But staying focused is key with the program.
My third coach, so yeah, when Coach first came, I liked him. I feel like we had a good relationship. With everything that's getting on the course of the year, I don't want to get into all the allegations, everything that was said. But it was. I think the administration felt that it was time for him to leave. You know what I'm saying? That it was time for him to go. And I respect decisions that they make, he makes, regardless. So yeah, I'm just praying for Coach, man. You know what I'm saying? I think he's still a good dude, but I'm just praying for him.
Reporting for Press Play, I'm Sean Coleman.
The men's basketball team last won the NAIA National Championship in 2008.
OCU is hosting 2 commencement celebrations to celebrate the classes of 2020 and 2021. The classes of 2020 will gather on May 7th and class of 2021 on May 8th. Each school will have their own small groups. These small groups will watch a video about graduation and then be able to walk the stage on the quad. Based on current COVID-19 knowledge, the ticket limit is 2 guests per graduate, and administration is not at a point right to safely raise this limit. A new tradition will also be implemented.
Students who are now alums go up into the Gold Star building and literally write and sign their name into the Gold Star building. On the wall.
In a year full of COVID, nothing is normal with sports anymore. With the COVID levels being moderate, fans are allowed back in the stands, but with some restrictions. But Assistant Athletic Director Kelly Perry says there are new parameters for the fans in the stands.
Now that we have gone even further down and moved down in levels, we have opened it up to all fans. Now certain arenas and fields and stuff have their own different count of how many fans can come in there, and depending on the event that we have, there may be less fans involved because there's more participants.
Now that fans are allowed back, there are still requirements to follow, such as symptoms, screenings, and temperature checks before entering the sporting event. Masks are required at all times by fans. Players and coaches not on the field are still required to wear a mask or face shield.
Family Healthcare and Minor Emergency Clinic at OCU started to administer COVID-19 vaccinations for the campus community on February 27th. However, since Oklahoma opened to Phase 3 on March 8th, all faculty, staff, and students at OCU are included in the vaccination distribution plan. Today, the clinic will administer 750 Pfizer vaccines to the campus community. OCU will continue to roll out the vaccines to the campus community. Make sure to sign up for a time to get your vaccine.
Co-ed rooms, job hiring through a pandemic, and the down and dirty of OCU students athletes after this commercial break. Stay with us.
I was looking for a way to help out with my community while also getting close with my gal pals.
I've been looking for an addition in my life that can make things more lively. I wanted a companion to curl up with at night.
That's why we adopted these guys.
Research shows that women love cute little things. So what's wrong with you? Get a guy who's guaranteed to stay.
Welcome back to Press Play. Draper Hall is shutting its doors next year. Draper Hall was historically an upperclassmen residential hall offering single and double room suites. However, occupancy has been low due to most students seeking out spaces in Methodist Hall and Cokesbury apartments. Draper Hall this academic school year was used as a space for COVID-19 isolation housing. It will continue to be closed for the 21-22 academic school year due to the low occupancy and the uncertainty of the COVID-19 pandemic in fall 2021. Gender-inclusive housing is on its way to OCU for fall 2021. Last year, Student Government Association passed a resolution for gender-inclusive housing for on-campus residents. This option will be open for upperclassmen students and is optional assignment to receive. In order to take part of gender-inclusive housing, one must state they want that on the assignment in their housing application. As the school year comes to an end, graduating seniors are navigating through job searches. During COVID-19, Press Play Katie's Connors meets with OCU Career Services to find out how they are helping with the confusing process.
Missing out on traditional graduation ceremonies and typical events for college seniors has been one of many challenges this year, so it comes as no surprise the job hunt would be any different with the confusion of a pandemic.
The hiring process has definitely changed due to the pandemic. We've had to obviously stay in constant communication with our employers that we work with to kind of analyze some of the different paths that they're going to take when it comes to even internships or full-time positions. There has been a lot of discussion on whether some of those positions will be virtual as opposed to those in person, and how much students are going to be able to take from the internships or positions if they do end up going fully remote. So some of the challenges that we've had in the past year has really been just trying to solve the unknown as to what that's going to look like for the companies and also for our students.
Due to safety concerns, the career fair was taken virtual for students. They had the ability to network with top employers and gain skills they can use in the hiring process.
When in terms of our career fair, for example, we had to go completely virtual and really focus a lot on the small details of how our students were going to be impacted and also our employers when it comes to the hiring process, and trying to analyze what positions were going to be available.
OCU's Career Services Office continues to assist students in the next chapter of their life by adjusting to the changing ways of current employers.
Make sure you put your career goals as a priority. Well, now you don't even have to come all the way over here and have a visit with us. So they can do it from the comfort of their homes. We like the share our screen function whenever we look at those resumes and cover letters, those professional documents that we're constantly helping with. We have that one-on-one, as well as the virtual mock interviews. So a lot of companies are not doing in-person interviews at the moment, and having that virtual mock interview with us really helps them get to the next level of comfort whenever they go in and meet with an employer.
Making sure seniors have their best chance when entering the workforce is the main goal of Career Services. Help with job searches and preparation for interviews can all be done by appointment with Career Services, even through this difficult time. Reporting for Press Play, I'm Katie Connor.
Stay tuned. After the break, Press Play Hannah Campbell sits down with Paul Dower, Student Publications Editor-in-Chief, to discuss the university presidential search. We're back after this.
What is MassComm at OCU? It's working on a breaking story. It's creating ad campaigns for real clients. It's training in public relations. It's an internship downtown. It's not a lecture hall with 200 students. It's not waiting to meet with your professor. It's knowing everyone's name. It's winning awards and honors.
And it's reporting live from Oklahoma City.
Find out what it is for you at okcu.edu.
Welcome back. I'm here with Student Publications Editor-in-Chief Paul Dower. Hi Paul, it's good to have you here today.
Thanks for having me.
So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the news that's been going around campus with the newspaper. The one that's on everyone's mind is the presidential search. So can you tell me who the 4 candidates are?
Yeah, so we have Dr. Brian DePoy, Dr. Michael Austin, David Brennan, and Dr. Kenneth Evans. And each of them sort of have their own unique perspective when it comes to being president at OCU. All 4 of them generally have ideas about expanding our online education options and generally getting involved with the OKC community, with each having their own spin and take on what that means. My personal, I'm keeping an eye personally on David Brennan and Dr. Kenneth Evans. I think they have very practical and very, they have a set plan for what they want to do whenever they become, when and if they become president. Very concrete plans for what their presidency will look like.
What are some of the questions that students have been asking these candidates?
Yeah, one of the major questions that students were asking were if each of the candidates would commit to creating an office of sustainability, and shifting OCU to more renewable energies. I don't think many of the candidates were able to commit to those, to creating an office and shifting OCU, mainly because they don't have access to information that, the access to information that they would need to know to be able to commit to that.
Right.
But they were able to, most of them said they were in favor of it. I don't think any of them outright dismissed that as not an option. So.
Yeah. So you mentioned your personal favorite, the one you're keeping some eyes on.
Mm-hmm.
Have we seen a campus favorite so far?
I haven't seen anything of the sort. I think from the students that I've talked to, the students that I've interviewed, it seems like a lot of them are keeping it sort of objective. They I haven't talked to anyone about their personal favorites, but from what it seems like a lot of people are leaning toward David Brennan, if I just had to go based on vibes. But that might be also my bias, but who knows?
Yeah, we'll just have to see where that takes us. So OCU Stripped is putting on Songs for a New World by Jason Robert Brown. So how are the performances planned out, like taking COVID precautions and things like that? Yeah,
so I think the School of Music in general has some of the more stricter guidelines when it comes to COVID restrictions. I think rehearsals, and that's not a slight toward them. I think that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But they have, they tape off squares on the stage to where actors stand in. Rehearsals are limited to a couple of cast members per rehearsal, up until I think Tech Week. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's generally how performances are being done nowadays. So yeah.
And are audience members allowed to sit in the audience, or is it just like online streaming? I
think it's primarily online streaming. I don't think there are many, if at all, audience members in person. I think there may be some for for the people doing the live streaming, right, and then some photographers, but I think primarily the audience is over Zoom.
Very interesting. OCU announced a new corporate relations office to help connect students to surrounding OKC businesses. How are they doing this? How are they connecting students to businesses?
Yeah, I think primarily it's through a company called Frank Franzi and Company, I believe is the name, and through that company, they're getting in contact with local businesses in the OKC area to see if they have internships, see if they have sort of more gruntish jobs for students to do. And yeah, just generally sticking out feelers into the OKC area to try to see what businesses are interested in.
And if students are interested in finding out more about this, how do they do that? Who do they reach out to?
Trying to remember. I'm not sure. I'm sure career services could definitely point them in the right direction if they want to get involved in that. In the Office of Corporate Relations, career services is definitely probably the best way to go.
All right, very nice. Last thing we're going to discuss is the passing of Florence Birdwell. So for those of you who don't know, can you tell us about who she was?
Yeah, so she was I think professor of music and a voice coach / teacher who worked at OCU for nearly 70 years.
Oh, wow.
Very, very long time. She taught people such as Christian Chenoweth and Kelly O'Hara, a lot of the people who went on to Broadway. And so, yeah, she has a very long-lasting legacy at OCU. I think she retired about a decade, 10 years or so ago, in mid to early 2000s. And yeah, she recently passed.
And how did alumni create like a memorial for her, or how did they pay tribute to her? Do you know?
Yeah, so some alumni I know got together over Zoom and sort of shared their experiences, talked about what Florence meant to them, how, and just shared stories, just reminiscing on the good old days at OCU and stuff.
So can you give us a sneak peek of what's to come for the paper?
Yeah, so in the future we're going to be covering the SGA elections. I know I'm going to be writing a story covering the candidates, each of their platforms, reaching out to them and seeing if they want to write a letter to the editor that we can publish online or in the paper. And I think we're actually going to hold that print issue a day, so we'll be printing on Thursday, so that way we can have front page who won the election, and it'll be cool.
Yeah, that'll be super interesting. We'll have to look for that. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
If you want to see more campus news, check out mediaocu.com, and stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break.
Oklahoma isn't your room. So don't trash it.
Emily Wallenberg here with your campus weather update. There's a flood of news coming out of student publications. Reporters are out and about across campus covering all the latest stories. Star's soccer team is creating some high winds, breezing past the competition. There's a 100% chance of Stars shining bright. Students are rehearsing on stage for the big production. There's a severe wind gust warning at Abe Lemons Arena. Stars are blowing away the competition. To find out more about OCU, schedule a campus visit today.
Welcome back. The OCU cheer team comes home from Iowa with high spirits as they are now the 2020-2021 national champions. We catch up with the winning team as they celebrate their historic victory.
Oklahoma City University, your music is on.
The last time the Oklahoma City University cheerleading team brought home a national championship was in 2017, but that all changed this season. The cheer team brought home the gold with a score of 91.53. The team had faced many adversities leading up to the point of competition, leaving them unsure if their season was even possible.
We only had the routine for a total of 7 weeks at nationals, which is very accelerated compared to other seasons I've been a part of. So that in and of itself was a challenge.
With only 7 weeks to prepare, the team had to dig a little deeper to make this happen. Through these adversities the team faced, they had no one to lean on but each other, which, in the end, only made them stronger.
This team is, like, family-wise, has been the closest, out of any of my 4 years, and I think winning it this year just feels extra sweet because it's like our best friends were doing it for each other, and it was nice.
But whenever you put this team under pressure, all we do is encourage each other and remain positive and be patient with each other. And because we were so kind to each other and we established this great relationship together, it created something so positive that could have easily turned negative.
The team delivered the highest team score in the NAIA championship history. The team also scored higher this year than their last previous national title team in 2017.
The number of championships that OCU brings in is constantly rising at a fast rate, but the number of NAIA All-American athletes is rising even faster, with a total of 20 All-Americans. Topping the chart is the men's track and field with 8 All-Americans, women's wrestling with 6, co-ed cheerleading with 4, and women's track and field and men's wrestling both with 1. The total number of athletes is continuously increasing as some sports are still finishing up their season. COVID-19 took many student athletes' seasons away. However, due to the extended eligibility rules, some athletes had the opportunity to come back for another year.
Is it time to hang up the glove, or do you stay another year? COVID-19 made many athletes at OCU to make that hard decision. Jake Patterson, an MBA student, talked about how he made that decision to stay.
And so I wanted to come back for these guys, have a chance to go to the World Series and just improve on what we tried to accomplish last year. So that was my biggest reason.
Bryson Lyerly, senior criminal justice major, also touched on why it was in his best interest to come back as well.
I was one semester away from graduating, and without COVID happening, I probably wouldn't have came back here to graduate.
However, the decision is not as simple as it seems. Kelly Perry, Associate Athletic Director, explains the process of deciding to stay and using the extra year of eligibility.
Essentially means that they can be here for 5 years. There's a lot of decisions you have to make as a student athlete if you want to do that. If you were a senior, you had to make a decision, but things like, do I want to stay here for the 5 years? What happens if I graduate? How do I manage, the cost of going to college? Do I have a degree program that can do 5 years, or do I have to go into a graduate program? Do they have a graduate program that I want to go into? So it's not just the fact that, yay, I get another year of eligibility, but it's also, I have to look forward to what am I going to do with that when I have my academics runs out.
COVID-19 took a lot of things away this year. However, one thing it did not take away is some students' eligibility to play the sport they love.
Baseball has always just been something I've always wanted to do and play, so coming back and having another year to do it has been awesome.
For these athletes, all the hard work is worth it because they love the team they are a part of.
Playing for Keith and Denny, who have been here for a long time. They're two guys that know the game well, and they're just a lot of fun to be around every day, and they make it kind of a family atmosphere, and I've gotten really close with a lot of these guys, and I see myself being friends with them for life.
If you were in their shoes, would you come back for another year? Answer our poll at OCU PressPlay on Instagram. The success of the volleyball team the past 2 years has been phenomenal. With a record of 41-5 over the past 2 seasons, this is the definition of dominance. Here's PJ Grooms on why the basketball team is thriving.
Second-year volleyball coach Kristen Covington is on a streak since taking over at OCU. With a 41-5 record over the last 2 seasons, she says her players are the key to the team's success.
I really think that the key to our success has been the players. I would like to take a lot of credit for it, but they play extremely hard. They get along really well. They accepted me when I got the job and immediately bought into what I wanted to do and my vision for the team moving forward the next few years. And they've just done such a great job embracing me and making changes. And so I think the key to our success is them and how hard they work in practice and their ability to change and adapt. And it's just been great.
The Stars volleyball team still has work to do, looking to finish the season strong.
I'm really hoping that we can finish strong. We had a little break there in the middle with some easier teams, and things will get a lot tougher the next 5 or 6 games. And so I'm really excited for that. I think it'll be great for us to play against some good competition, preparing us for the national tournament, preparing us for the conference tournament, and moving forward. So I'm really, really excited about our next few matches.
Reporting for PressPlay, I'm PJ Grooms.
The Stars volleyball team is on the road for the rest of the regular season, with the SAC tournament set to begin April 6th.
Keep up with Stars Athletics at ocusports.com. Katie, Ava, back to you.
Today is Cheryl Price's last day with us in the Mass Comm department. She'll be moving to the registrar starting Monday. Thank you, Cheryl, for all your hard work and dedication. We will miss you.
That is a wrap on our second episode of OCU Press Play. Be sure to tune in next time to keep up with all your local and campus news.
From everyone here at OCU's Press Play, thank you for watching.